we're making a difference in people's lives and we're making a difference in the planet. So, and we do that through working with leaders and raising the conscious practice of leadership in the world. I think we're right around 600,000 leaders that we have profiled. We've certified just over 14,000 practitioners. I think that we'll be double that within a very short period of time. It's exceeded expectations and what I could have even imagined in my wildest dreams. So, and now I just want to make sure that we're doing the very best that we possibly can to continue to bring that to the world. I would say combination of both design and bioemergence. So, you know, I was raised in a family business, and my father and mother ran it together. We were an agriculture operation of ranching business, cattle ranching and sheep ranching, and here in the Western United States, it was about my dad was third generation in the family business. I was fourth generation, and very early on, my father in particular worked with me on what it meant to actually be a leader in the business. And so I was a kid, maybe 13, 14 years old, and dad said, this was one summer, my 13th or 14th year, and he said, you're going to be responsible this year for the hay gang. So we would put up crops, hay that we would use to feed our cattle in the winter. And it was a group of about 10 of us that were all my age. You know, it was all local kids, all high school age kids. And dad said, you have to be the leader of that group. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, I'm like, don't even have an idea of what that is. So I started from a leadership perspective really early, mostly in work, and that carried through all of my life, all the way through my early years. And I was very, very, very active in community and student government. So I loved that. I was a student body president of my high school. I mean, on and on and on. And my senior year, the year I graduated from high school, I got invited to a program for student leaders that were getting ready to go to college. That was a 5-day outdoor experiential leadership education program. And I was 3 days into the program. There was about 30 of us that were invited to this. It was in the mountains here in the Wasatch Mountains and the Rocky Mountains. And I loved the work. I mean, I just loved the work. And I walked up to a person by the name of Van. He became a mentor for me for the next 30 years. And it was lunchtime. And I said, I don't know what this is that you do. I'm not quite sure what this work is. This is what I want to do. I was my 18th birthday. I turned 18 that week. And so I made a decision I was going to do this work by sitting in and participating in some of what it is we do today. Clear back then. I mean, I'm 70, so we're talking over 50 years ago. And I've been at it ever since. So it's been a combination of feeling like I was called to do it. I feel like it was my calling and the work I like to do. And I love the combination of three things. I love the work with developing leaders. I love being able to be a leader. I like to be in a position of either formal or informal leadership. I love people and it gives me an opportunity to work with people. It's my favorite thing. And I love business. I love business. I'm a geek on it. And all three of those areas for me have been a passion my entire life. So it's been a blessing and a gift to be able to do that. And I love the fact that, you know, here I am. People keep saying, are you going to retire? And I'm like, nah, I love what I do. As long as I am healthy and relevant, I'm to keep doing it. Cindy's not so sure about that. She thinks that I should step back a little bit. I traveled more last year than I have probably at the last 40, but yeah, I really love what I do. Yes, I do. And anybody that has anybody that's been part of a family business, or for those of us just that happen to be in families, right? So dad gave me the responsibility to be in charge of the hay gang. And everybody is my age, maybe a year or two younger, 3 or 4 years older. That was the range. And I was just one of the teenagers that was working for the summer. Immediately I ended up in a position of okay, let's go to work. Here's what we're up to today. Here's what's going on, all of those things. And I didn't feel like I had the capability or the ability that I was actually going to be the one that makes sure everything was organized. We knew what we were up to for the day. People were doing their jobs, all of that. And so I tried to do it by personality and influence and being more everybody's friend and all of that and the jovial personality and happy and on and on and on and on. And the kind of the class clown, if you will, making everybody laugh. And we weren't getting the work done. We weren't getting the results. And my father was watching us all the way from the headquarters of the ranch, which was, probably 3 miles away, 4 miles away. He was watching us in his binoculars. So he's literally got his binoculars watching this group of, 9 or 10 of us all on machinery. Some of us with actually in those years, we still used horses as a part of what we do. And we were all just completely having a ball, having a lot of fun. I mean, we're messing around, we're doing the whole thing. And my father got in his truck to drive from the headquarters of the ranch all the way down. And I knew that I was in trouble because you could tell how fast he was driving his truck because the dust flying up behind the back of the truck was way high in the air. And I'm thinking I'm in big trouble. And dad came down and he said, if you don't want to take the responsibility to get the work done and actually have us prepared for the winter when we have to take care of the cattle, then I need to find someone else to do this job. Your job is to get the work done and to make sure that everybody is safe and that nobody gets injured, and you do it in a really good way. And that means everyone has to be responsible, and so do you. So make a choice. Well, yeah, things changed from that day on. And I started understanding that when you have the formal responsibility of being in leadership, it's not it's not about you. It's actually about how it is that you work with and provide the kind of leadership and what's required for all that you have responsibility for. It's not just about being the fun guy in the party, right? It was a big deal. So yeah, it started out really early, mostly because I was screwing up. So we had that father-son relationship that was very contentious, and now I'm actually working for him. So he's my boss. He held his sons and daughters to a higher standard of accountability. And so I had all of those things going on in those early years. And that went all the way through my mid 20s. So, it was all the way around and more and more responsibility. My parents, my mother, my dad, my mother was responsible for, she ran all the finances. She was the business person. My dad was the one that understood how to be a rancher. And my mother was the business person. And they gave us more responsibility than we were ready to take on. And so you'd end up in a position where you're like, there is no way in the world I should be doing this. I mean, I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah, I've seen and I've learned some things, but it was the increase of responsibility and knowing that because of heavy machinery and because there was a lot of opportunity, also you've got to make sure that people are safe. and we don't have accidents and all of those things happen. But every time I got more responsibility, uh, leadership felt more like pressure to me. It felt more like how it is that you have to get results and perform, and always over my head. Always feeling like, I was not enough. I was not good enough. I didn't know enough. I was not experienced enough. Why me? Um, must just because I'm a member of the family, all of that kind of stuff. So I had to fight all of that lack of belief in myself, and in real time, all the time. Like, oh man, every time I'd have to say something to someone like, you know what, we really shouldn't be doing that, or uh, let's think if there's a better way to do this. I'd always have this voice in the back of my head is like, oh man, I'd be rolling my own eyes about listening to me and, doing all that work. So it was that first 7, 8, 9 years. It took a long time for me to start to get confidence until like I knew what I was doing when it came to leading people and working with people. Way beyond what I ever imagined, and way beyond what Bob and I, both of us, had big aspiration, and had a really strong mutual vision around what it is that we wanted to be able to accomplish in the world and the impact that we wanted to have. I mean, for us, it's all about mission impact, and it has exceeded and gone farther than we ever would have expected. I mean, we just finished 2025 as of yesterday when they had a board meeting. We assessed 32,000 leaders took the leadership circle profile last year. So 32,000 leaders, 100 countries across the world, across the globe. That means that 32,000 leaders that have responsibility for work and people and the impact and the difference that they make in the world as a business or an organization or a university. Um, each one of them was able to learn about how effective they are, what they can do to be more effective, how they can really have greater impact, be more attuned to what it is that they can do with a group of people, with a team, with an organization, what's possible, and in our belief, have the opportunity to become more conscious leaders and have a strong impact on the globe and the world we live in a way that it makes it a better place. I think we're right around 600,000 leaders that we have profiled. We've certified just over 14,000 practitioners. I think that we'll be double that within a very short period of time. We'll be doing 100,000 leaders a year and working with them across 5,000 organizations and businesses, 120 countries, profile and all of our assessments, everything we do, 22 different languages. Um, and it's making a difference to the people that do this work. And those that are engaged are very like-minded on what we believe about why we're here and what we're up to. And it's exceeded expectations and what I could have even imagined in my wildest dreams. So, and now I just want to make sure that we're doing the very best that we possibly can to continue to bring that to the world. So yeah, it's a blessing. I feel for me, it is the work that I was called to do, and I think we have that in common with those of us that are committed to the mission and the work that we do in the world because we're making a difference in people's lives and we're making a difference in the planet. So, and we do that through working with leaders and raising the conscious practice of leadership in the world. So, yeah, it's huge. Okay, well, we'll go the short version of the story. And we were, I was I started a business, a consulting business in 1984, 85. Had been doing that at that point, 25 years or so. Uh, that business, along with several others that I started and either acquired or sold. And we were doing mostly large scale business transformation. And we had a project at university here in the United States, Yale University, doing a transformation effort for them. And we, at the core of the work that we do was leadership, and we couldn't scale it. We weren't effectively scaling it. And so one of my researchers, uh, just an incredible, strong, Gail Karen Young is her name. And they said, Gail, go out and find if anyone has a leadership model with an assessment, 360 assessment that is actually going to work for us, or we're going to have to create one on our own. And I'm thinking, the last thing we need is another model of leadership, another 360 assessment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So was hopeful. Gail came back within about 3 weeks and she said, I found it. And I said, found, well, I mean, 3 weeks, found what? And she said, found the leadership circle. It was created by a person by the name of Bob Anderson. He lives in Ohio, outside of Toledo, Ohio. I think, Bill, I said, I just have never seen anything as good as this. And so I want you to meet Bob. And we talked about how we were going to do that. And we ended up taking then what was called the Leadership Culture Survey. We now call the Collective Leadership Assessment. And to get an experience with what Bob had created. And a week and a half, 2 weeks later, after my whole team had taken the Leadership Culture Survey, we got on a call with Bob to debrief us on it. And that's the first time I met him. And so we've been on the call. We had been on the call about 5 minutes. And I said to Bob, I said, Bob Anderson, Toledo, Ohio. Do you have a brother by the name of Jerry or a relative by the name of Jerry that is in Detroit, Michigan? And he said, yeah, he's my brother. And I said, well, he's my client. I was at that point coaching Bob's brother, who was the president of Detroit Edison, which is a gas utility company. And Bob and I started talking immediately about his brother, about the relationship. Very quickly ended up talking about our backgrounds. Bob was raised in an agricultural business, family-owned business. And of course I was. Well, we were on the production side. Bob was on the other side of that. We immediately connected within the next 2 or 3 minutes. We both realized that we were born in June of 1955, and we were within a week and a half of each other's age. I'm the older of the two of us. And long story short, about 3 months later, we put our entire team through the Leadership Circle Profile Certification. Bob came here and we did it up in Park City, Utah. Had about 20 of us in the room. Bob couldn't figure me out. He thought I was the most disruptive participant he'd ever had in a session ever. And he's like, I don't have an idea where this guy is going. And somewhere around the second day, I guess, the second day of certification, I walked up to Bob and I said, Bob, I think that you have created the only fully integrated model of leadership that exists in the world. It's the very best I've ever seen. There's not anything else like it. And I want to go to work with this. And within 6 months, we were Bob's biggest customer. So we were using it in all of our projects, and Bob and I were working together. And about a year and a half later from there, we started the first business together, which was the services business, Full Circle Group. And we did that. We co-founded that, brought it together, took my old business, merged it in, and a couple of others, and a little bit of what Bob had done. And then 3 years later, we bought the Leadership Circle, brought those together. Bob became one of the partners in that, and he and I have been partners in it ever since. We started out with the great deal of respect and admiration for each other, and huge difference. We're very different. We are very, very, very different, and have very different strengths and a lot of things in common. And we had to learn how to be partners together. We're both high control on the profile. Bob's high compliant, pleasing. I am on the other side of that with the high control, high arrogance. Yeah. Bob and I took the profile together, and then went to work on our own relationship, because these are two that really required a lot of matching up. And we've been at that ever since. So 15 years later, here we are. And Bob is my business partner, my best friend, my brother in arms. I feel like we both feel like we came in together to do this work and bring this work to the world. So we think this goes back before we were here. Never would have expected at that point. I had a lot of partnerships. Never would have expected to have a partnership emerge at that time in my life that was going to be this important, this meaningful. And it is an incredible opportunity and blessing to actually work with and be with Bob. And I'm a pain in the ass a lot of the time. So Bob puts up with me, and I'm greatly appreciative of that. If I go right to the biggest creative tension, the largest one we had was um, how to lead, run, and scale the business, and how we were going to have roles that were complementary to each other, where we could both lean into what it was that we were good at and strong, and have complementary strengths that would mitigate the weaknesses either one of us had, that the other would be able to do that. And that's hard to do. So there was creative tension around that all the time. And sometimes I think about creative tension as constructive tension. It's constructive. It helps move things forward. It's really important. It can include conflict, all of what's there. And then you can have tension that's destructive. And that tension that's destructive actually will many times spiral down into not what's constructive or isn't actually going to move you forward. And so we had to really work that. And that played itself out in the biggest way when I came to Bob and said that, Bob, I really think that we need to divide our roles, and I will take over and lead the business as the CEO, and really believe that you need to both be the thought leader and take the knowledge, the IP out to the next level, and work that and lean into that strength, because I've never seen anybody that Bob's the best at integration of anyone I've ever been around in the world. I talked to someone last night. I went to dinner with one of our practitioners, Heather Esposito. Cindy and I went to dinner with her. She's from lives in well, was in California, in South Dakota now, where that Louisiana internal practitioner. And we were talking about Bob's genius. And right at the heart of that, he can take concepts, theory, creation of new theory, and bring it together in a weave that takes it to a whole nother level. And that's what you see in the structure and design of the leadership circle profile. He's done something that very few people are capable of doing. Being able to do that over and over again, and being able to take the thought leadership and the work of our world out further. There's not many people that can do that. And so I took over as CEO and responsible for running the business. Bob really leaned heavily into going back in and doing again and again what it is he did the first time with the leadership circle profile, and times before that, and with the universal model of leadership. And there was a ton significant tension in that. I mean, for Bob, it felt like I was taking over and he was losing his baby. And Bob defined himself, he'll tell you this, I am my ideas. I am what it is I create. I define myself by I am my results. So those early identity pieces for me and for Bob came around that. Well, we were always in conflict about that. Don't take my ideas. Don't take what I've created and change it or work with it that way or do it. And tons of tension around that. For me, recognize me for the results I get. I define myself by whether or not I can get things done. And so don't take away from that. They're both important. Of course, what I do is more important. And, it's all of that. So we were in that battle, both on the creative and really constructive tension side. And at occasion, when he and I would get into it, we had to work our way through it. And wow, we did. Bob and I, Bob in particular, I have this huge admiration for him because he's got such a big heart. He cares at the end of the day about relationship and about people. And making sure that he is being honest and direct and within, integrity and relationship. And Bob would always put it on the table. He'd always just be honest and talk to me and say things and do it with love and give me feedback. And then honestly would say, and this is what I have to own. And this is where I have to change. And that encouraged me to do the same thing. And we learned how to do what partnerships are the most difficult thing there is in relationship. Anybody that's got a significant other, anybody that's married, all of us know how hard partnerships are. And they're also the very best thing for making best in the world. And wow, you got to work them through. And we've been at that for years and years and years. And there's always now creative tension in our relationship in a way that works for us as opposed to works against us. And therefore, it's better for the business. So Bob and I were in a board meeting yesterday together. And I was sitting there thinking, oh, wow, you know what? Bob's learning about what we're up to and what we're doing in the business in this meeting with everybody else, including our outside investors who are on the board, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, that's got to be hard to be learning this from, Russ and me and Betsy, who were part of the board meeting, and not in it, not being the one that's actually responsible for that day to day. And he just handles all of that so well. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't sometimes feel like we're not uh, doing what it is we thought or wanted to be doing, or we're doing exactly what we thought we should be doing and what we want to do. You've got both of those going on at the same time. So I've experienced it yesterday afternoon, and I haven't talked to Bob about that yet. So Bob, you know, talk. Yes, perception of leadership and what's required as well as what's possible. So individual development of leaders is absolutely critical. We have to, as any human being, uh, and my belief is we're all leaders. So we're all having influence on a day-to-day basis in our interactions. And that's the definition of leadership. Being able to influence others and make a difference for them and with them because we're in a relationship. That's where leadership starts. And the first responsibility of anyone, my view, is to continue to learn and grow and develop. And that's what we mean by individual leadership development, which requires me to be self aware and to know where it is that I'm showing up and am I having the very best impact I can? Is the best me showing up? Is that the kind of me that is showing up in circumstances the one that actually is going to bring the very best to me and from me to others? And what does that look like and what does that mean? That's critical. Then move all the way from that into team of leaders, organization system, self team, others, organization system. Then it is all about how is it that the formal leadership or the informal leadership in the organization collectively can have the kind of impact that I know I need to have and want to have, or we need to have and want to have as individuals, as leaders. We need to do that collectively. And when we can do that in a way that we are aligned, then the overall impact that we have is consistent and makes a difference to the organization. There's a multiplying effect that takes place. We don't pay attention to collective uh, leadership or systems leadership. We haven't done the work there as businesses, as organizations. Doesn't matter whether it's a business or a not-for-profit or name it, university. That work is as critical as the individual work. In fact, I would suggest from a impact standpoint even more important, because if we're not on the same page, we don't know how it is we lead, we don't know what kind of experience we want to create for our customers, for our people, for the life that they live and lead, and how we're making a difference in that and impacting that in a positive way. Then we're going to be actually at some level canceling out or minimizing some of our work together when we should be aligning and collectively working that together. And that's what scaling is all about. I just, the last 6 months, have included working. Well, that's not true. I've been doing this for several years, but I now started to work with the board of directors. So, probably one of the best examples we have on the hierarchical system of leadership that exists. We're so mostly hierarchical. We haven't made the change that we need to. That's a whole different story. I'm not getting into that. But inside a leadership hierarchy, organizations that have boards, the boards don't accept or take on the mantle of leadership. They see their job as fiduciary responsibility, business advisory, but they're actually leaders. They're in a leadership position because they're influencing the business or the organization in a way that they need to be accountable for it, and they don't think about themselves that way. So I just took on a board of directors in of a bank in Kuwait. I've been working in the Middle East the last 6 months. And we use the collective leadership assessment on the board to give them a perspective of how it is that the organization, the people that they have responsibility for in the business, are receiving their leadership. And they're working on how they can effectively lead more collectively. And they've taken it on, and now that's part of the work that we're doing as we're merging two banks together in Kuwait, and how it is they're going to be able to bring that to the merged enterprise. It's an amazing thing when leadership starts to take the responsibility and take on the accountability for the mantle of leadership that they have, the responsibility that goes with that. And they're going to do it in a more effective manner as more conscious, more highly effective leaders collectively. And if I'm just looking at it from a pure results standpoint, the results that they achieve in their organization, in their business, and the way that they perform goes up, and the quality of life for those that they impact also goes up. So, it's a win-win all the way around. So, if what we do is try to water it down in a way that it doesn't recognize the complexity that we operate in and doesn't work, then it actually dilutes it. It ends up not getting us the results that we want and need to have. So the first piece of that is that we have to trust and believe in people and their capability and what they have the potential to be and do. So the democratization of leadership development and the democratization of leadership is that what I want in our organization and our business is that I want everybody to be a leader. I want all of us to be able to be in that position of developing ourselves as human beings, which is quite honestly, leadership is just at the simplest terms, most pragmatic about being a better human. Better human beings, those of us that really want to be the very best human being we can, to show up in the way that makes a difference in our lives and the lives of others. And we do every day. That's the basis of leadership. And that's something that each one of us can take on. So understanding that within your organization, if I'm a CEO or I'm a manager, supervisor, or a member of a team, I want you and I want me, I want both of us to be more effective and better. And in order to do that, we have to work on ourselves and work with each other in a way that raises the whole. And so that becomes moving to what, Bob Keegan calls deliberately developmental. So the developmental agenda, one that we were born to grow, we were born to develop, we were born to learn. That was what we came in doing. That never changes. That's what we need to go out doing. And organizationally, when we talk about leadership systems, it's about being deliberately developmental and turning the entire organization into a learning organization. So that learning and growth from that learning, being self-aware, being able to give each other feedback, being each other's best resources is the way that we work the whole system. You have to be, when you sit in a position of bringing together the decisions that are made and being made, the actions that we're going to take as an organization, what that looks like. It's always got to be with the organization's best interests, the whole organization's best interests in mind. And that includes every individual. So, wow, there's difficult decisions, things. I mean, I was yesterday in a conversation there with one of the businesses we work with. the economic times they're in. I think that they're going to be half the size they were 2 years ago. And that's all the way from what they're bringing in revenue, uh, lost a bunch of contracts, uh, probably it's an organization that people love and have worked their hearts out. And wow, uh, maybe 30%, 40% downsizing. That's tough. Worst possible thing. And disruption of everybody's life, uh, both those that stay, those that leave. At the end of the day, when you have difficult times and circumstances and conditions, you've got to make sure that people are treated right, that they're treated with dignity and respect and love, and that that is both when they're part of and working in the organization, and when they leave. And you got to do all of that in a way that is the treatment of people as humans, as people that deserve and require dignity, respect, and love. And that's our job. That's our job. It's I have a lot of empathy for a lot of compassion, actually, way above empathy. Wow, that's you know what? It's a lot of circumstances we have across the world right now, not just in business, but um, things aren't always easy. Sometimes they're really hard, and we need to be in that together. We've got enough going on in the world where we're against each other and in conflict with one another. That has to change, and that can be the same thing in business and in the world. Yeah, so that's it for me by bottom line it. Oh man, uh, you know what? They never end. I have not. I love going into a culture, a new culture that is different from my own, and actually learning about it and knowing what that means. And I love to go in with a learner's mindset as a student. Americans are known for arrogance and ugly American going around the world, think they've got everything, man. It's just like, are you kidding me? It just they to be able to go into a culture. I mean, I had done very little work in the Middle East, and this year, last 6 months, I've been working in Kuwait. Very, very, very new culture to me, and the warmest, most welcoming people, uh, caring, loving, diligent, just on and on and on. Those are I people are people all over the world, and we have that in common of being human. Doesn't mean that we don't have a lot of differences, and the differences are what make us so wonderful. And so I love that, and I've been privileged to work all over the world. My first trip out of the United States beyond Canada was Hong Kong, and then I worked in Japan for a bunch of years. I had no idea, and I was grateful to know that I didn't know. And what I wanted to do was learn about you. I wanted to learn about what was important, what made a difference, all of those things. And so, biggest learning for me uh, across the whole is that we are one people globally, and we have much more in common than we have that comes between us. And there is common ground. And at the most base level, that's because we're human. And leaning into our humanity and understanding what is important to each of us. Uh, and a lot of those things that are important to you and important to me um, are the same. And so focusing on the common and understanding the differences and how those actually can work for us and not against us and accommodating those uh, and learning from them. Are you kidding me? I mean, I just get amazed that we can actually uh, look at someone else and not think we don't have a lot to learn from, and we'll be better together. So that's the leaning into that. That's been the thing that I've loved the most. I consider myself a citizen of the world, not a United States citizen. I am, yes, but I have more concern, more interest in how we are doing as a globe and how we're doing as a human race and how we're taking care of the planet. And that's all of us. And the other piece in here is that honoring, respecting the differences. I mean, Bob and I released Mastering Leadership, the first book in India. And we learned a lot. We worked with 300 CEOs, and they have high control as leaders and high caring connection. So, in a society that is a little more patriarchy than most, um, the people in the organizations that these CEOs are responsible for knew that they were cared for. At the end of the day, as an individual, this company cares for you, and the leadership cares about you and for you. The control orientation was not a negative, it was a non issue comparatively. Well, yeah, okay, that's unique to India. Didn't we hadn't seen that anywhere else in the world, and wow, did it work? Didn't work as well when you tried to expand your business out of India to other countries around the world because the same thing didn't exist. That's the contextual side. So you have to understand the context within the world that you operate, your world, that sphere. And there's contextual understanding for all of that. So I love that. I love, love, love that because boy, are we complex. Human beings are complex. Are you kidding me? Get in a family relationship. Yeah, there's a little complexity going on in families all the time, right? So yeah, it's I love that stuff. Are you kidding me? It's like, okay, that's the texture and tapestry of life that makes it really fun to live and worth living. The one that comes to mind, there's several, right? But the one that comes to mind that was really, really personal impact on me was working at that time. This goes way back in the 90s, and was working with a company, another one in Detroit, Michigan Consolidated Gas Company. And the leader of that company was a gentleman by the name of Stephen Ewing. And Steve, remarkable leader. I had experiences over and over and over again with him. But what was remarkable about him was that uh, he created an environment where people trusted the company, trusted him, trusted the leadership, trusted each other. And they were always uh, front and foremost out for the best interest of the others in the company, not just themselves, for the entire company and for all their customers. I mean, they delivered a service that allowed people to cook their food and heat their homes. And when it wasn't working in cold Detroit, then people were in trouble, and it was an essential service. Steve violated something he said he would do. So he had told this was not confidential, public information. So we were working with the union inside the organization, and they were in union negotiation and gas workers union, hardcore. I mean, tough union. But this is a union shop, and Steve had great relationships, and he was working with a group of about 300, and he had promised them that he would not go forward to making any decisions without involving them around what was going to happen with their compensation, what was going to happen with their basics. He violated that. So he made some decisions. He moved forward. He didn't involve the union membership in the way that he said he would. And this was maybe 3 months later. We had the same group of the people in the room together, that whole group, and there was about 280, 300 of them in the room. He stood up in front of them, and it got to be a bit of a stir in the room because of this, because of what would happen. And you could see it. And Steve knew there was a tremendous amount of tension and stress and pressure in the room. And so he stood up and he looked out in the room and he said, I made a mistake. I need to ask your forgiveness. And he laid out everything that he had done on violating what he said he wouldn't do by doing. And he said, I'm going to take it back, but I want to ask for your forgiveness. And I'm sorry. And I know that I've lost your trust, and I earned that. And we're all like, oh. First of all, it was sincere, it was honest, a human being that had made a mistake, but a big one, didn't know how it was going to go, right? He did the right thing. It was a high integrity thing to do. He took it on. He's honest, but you don't know. And at the back of the room, this great big, I mean, mountain of a human being, of a man by the name of Butch Ely, who was also the president of the union. Butch was a guy that had a major heart attack, drove himself on his Harley Davidson to the hospital by himself and saved his own life. I mean, that's Butch. It's like, you kidding me? You got on your motorcycle and drove to the hospital in Detroit and you just had a heart attack and probably going to be dead? Yeah, that's Butch. Butch stood up in the back of the room and everybody turned and he said, I want everyone to listen to me. Steve Ewing made a mistake. He violated something that was very important to us. He just admitted it. He's honest. He's trustworthy. And he always keeps his word, even if he has to keep his word after he's already broken it. I trust Steve Ewing. I will work with him until the day I die. And I'm all in. And I want everyone here to do the same. Okay. The room was transformed. The field was transformed like that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And he was human and vulnerable and honest and took accountability and admitted it and asked to be forgiven. A lot of my CEOs and my presidents wouldn't have been able to do that. Great leadership, but more than that, high integrity, uncompromising integrity. I saw him one day. It's these remarkable moments that human beings show up in. I saw him one day in a gym when someone was being abusive in a very racist way to another human being. And he stopped right in the middle of it and said, this will not go on any longer. And this was in a gym setting in a locker room. It was something. This guy was in there servicing, taking care, providing service, and Steve stepped right in, stood the guy down. That not while I'm here. You, sir. that's over. You need to get right with yourself and you need to apologize to him now and mean it. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're wrong. Like, wow. Okay. I learned a lot from Steve. He's 85, still at it today. Yeah. Transformative transformation comes in transformative moments. That was one of them. Because of we've gone so far beyond what we ever thought was possible complexity. I'm like, seriously, how did that happen? I mean, and it's every day. Uh, this is not a solo endeavor. It's not something we do by ourselves. It's not heroic. It's something we do together. And we no longer are capable for one individual or one person or even a small group to be able to think through and act alone or in a small group. We have to do it collectively. So it's the collective intelligence, the collective brilliance, the collective wisdom. It's all of us. It's unity. And we all have very unique and different as well as common things to bring. And the intelligence of the system will think through and find things together, as will the integrity, and we find a way through. We may not know an understanding and being able to say, I don't know, but we will figure it out. And knowing it's okay not to know. Leadership has been framed up is that you have to have all the answers, you have to know everything, you have to be able to do that. Your job is to primarily give people direction. No, 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 that's not true. It's to bring groups together, bring people together to collectively work as one to figure things out and take things on in a way that we can do more together than we ever can do on our own. So much that inspires me is the willingness to uh, and the commitment not to take things in status quo. That's the way we've always done it. That's how it needs to be done now. And we have more of that now in this generation than we've ever had before, and are willing to get in and actually go after it. The element of that uh, doesn't concern me because of the generation. It's just part of what's human. Is that that doesn't mean that we don't also have to learn at the same time. And taking it on and changing it for the good is important and critical, and it's going to make all the difference. And at the same time, walk into it with an open mindset of being able to learn, because there's things in there, there's work that's going on now that is good. How is it that we can do that together in a way that we don't actually lose what's possible? That, wow, strong leadership in this generation. And the challenges we have in the world are uh, big, and some even seem insurmountable. We've always had challenges, more now than ever. And the world is in significant need um, today more than I ever thought was possible. Uh, the rising generation, this new generation coming in into adulthood, wow, do we ever need it? It's critical because that's where the future lies. That's going to be the difference. And it feels to me, my experience is ready to take it on and going to be really, really good at it. Feel like the world is in really good hands. We are sitting in a privileged uh, opportunity, which is it's a large community all over the world in positions of being able to make a difference. And 15,000 of us, 14,400 of us that in one way or the other has embraced the leadership circle, the universal model of leadership, what it means to raise the conscious practice of leadership and steward the planet and bring all that together in a way. We've worked with millions and millions and millions and millions of people and organizations uh, through their leaders and with their leaders, and want to bring that together collectively. So the whole is so much more than the sum of the parts. And how it is that we connect the community together, the community with all of those like-minded people, and in common, we can continue to take on what's in the best interest of all of us. And I want to be the leadership circle, produce a forum and the place where that can happen, where we can all be in constant connection with each other in any way that we want and need to. Most of that comes through the way we can connect technology wise. We're in the process of building the platform now that'll allow us to connect globally, and we'll have that up and running within the next 24 months, various parts as we go along, and it's serving the whole. So to be able to, at the simplest level, to but the connection to have a leader sitting in, you know, Dubai or Mumbai and say, I really need some help on something. I wonder if someone's gone through the same thing similar. And to be able to make the query online and find themselves in conversation with two or three people that have experienced the same thing and can be of value to that leader and or that practitioner, that coach, that consultant. And then they get to work on it together, so we all become resources for each other, and make that available to everybody. And then the other piece is that we continue to provide leadership in the field in a way that takes our field forward, and we don't just rely on what it is we already know and what it is that we've already learned, that we're constantly in discovery and creating and innovating, and get better and better at that, and want this work and what we do and what we're all doing right now to live on 100 years past all of us not being here, so that it continues in the world. That's the hope, the aspiration. For me personally, my commitment is to stay in the work, and that's where I want to end my life. I love this work, so I want to go out doing the same thing I came in doing, and learning, lifelong learning, growing, that never changes. And I want to assist others in being able to learn and grow and develop and create, continue to create the opportunities for that to happen uh, across the whole. And as long as I'm healthy and relevant, I'm going to stay at it. So there it is. That's not going away. I love what I do today more than I ever have. You just called me Bob.
Ah,
I love that. And here's the story. Uh, I have a brother Bob who passed away years ago, and now I have my other brother Bob. I get called Bob more than I get called Bill. I love that. So we just experienced it in real time. This is exactly the
Now,
relationship that Bob and I had. That was perfect.